Chapter 1: The Psychology of Influence. Welcome to Persuasion Mastery. How to get what you want from anyone. Imagine walking into any room, sitting at any table, or speaking to any person and having the ability to effortlessly guide their decisions. Picture yourself securing that raise, winning over a tough client, or deepening personal relationships simply because you understand how people think and what drives their actions. In this chapter, we delve into the fundamental principles that underpin human behavior and lay the groundwork for every persuasive skill you will learn. By understanding the psychology of influence, you will not only grasp why people say yes, but also learn how to ethically and effectively align their needs with your goals. The science of why people say yes. Every day, we make countless decisions: what to eat, who to trust, what to buy. Behind these choices lies a predictable set of psychological principles that subtly guide our behavior. From saying yes to a friend's request to clicking on a limited-time offer, these principles shape our interactions. Let's explore these foundational principles, starting with the 6 key forces identified by social psychologists. Reciprocity. Humans are hardwired to repay kindness. If someone does something for us, we feel compelled to return the favor. Scarcity. We value what's rare. When something is perceived as scarce, our desire for it intensifies. Authority. We trust experts. Authority figures inspire confidence and trust, compelling us to follow their advice. Consistency. Once we commit to something, we're more likely to go through with it. This desire for consistency can be leveraged in persuasion. Social proof. We look to others for guidance on what to believe or how to act, especially when we are uncertain. Liking. We're more inclined to agree with people we like. Building rapport and finding common interests increases the likelihood of influencing others. Building rapport. The foundation of influence. Establishing a connection is the first step in persuasive communication. Rapport makes people feel comfortable and more open to suggestions. This chapter will teach you how to build rapport quickly and effectively, using techniques like mirroring body language and showing genuine interest in others' concerns. Turning principles into practical persuasion. Understanding these psychological triggers is just the beginning. The true art of persuasion involves applying these principles in real-life scenarios to influence outcomes positively. We'll provide you with actionable techniques and practical examples to start enhancing your persuasive skills. Reciprocity in action. Offer something valuable at the start of a negotiation: advice, information, or even a small favor, creating a sense of obligation. Creating scarcity. Emphasize exclusivity and the limited availability of an offer to generate urgency. Projecting authority. Share credentials and successes subtly to build credibility without seeming arrogant. By mastering these strategies, you will not only influence others more effectively but also build lasting relationships based on mutual respect and understanding. Get ready to transform your interactions and pave your way to success in any area of life. Chapter 2: Crafting Irresistible Messages. Crafting a message that not only captures attention but also compels action is an art form that requires insight, precision, and empathy. In this chapter, we delve into how you can construct messages that resonate deeply, creating a lasting impact on your audience. Understanding the human psyche. At its core, effective communication hinges on understanding human psychology. Every person you meet has a myriad of experiences, beliefs, and emotions that shape their worldview. To influence effectively, you need to tap into this rich tapestry by crafting messages that are not only heard but felt. This requires a deep understanding of what drives people, their fears, their desires, and their untapped potential. The art of emotional connection. One of the most powerful tools in your persuasive toolkit is the ability to forge an emotional connection. This doesn't mean manipulating emotions, but rather connecting on a genuine level by addressing core human needs and values. Whether you are addressing a roomful of executives or a single client, the key is to speak to their core, their sense of self and identity. To build this connection, you must be adept at reading verbal and nonverbal cues. Pay close attention to the words people choose, the tone of their voice, and their body language. These cues provide a roadmap to their emotional state. Use this information to tailor your message in a way that resonates on a personal level, making it clear that you understand and empathize with their situation. Leveraging stories to connect. Humans are naturally drawn to stories because they allow us to see ourselves in the narrative, reflecting our own lives and struggles. When you want to persuade, don't just present facts or figures. Tell a story that embodies the message you want to convey. Make the protagonist relatable and the situation relevant to your audience's life. This narrative technique is not just about maintaining interest. It's about making your message linger in their minds, stirring emotions, and spurring them to action. For instance, if you are trying to convince a company to adopt a new software system, don't just talk about its features and benefits. Instead, tell the story of another company similar to theirs, which transformed its operations and boosted its team's morale and productivity by adopting this system. Highlight the challenges they faced, the decision-making process, and the triumphant outcome. This story should not just inform but inspire the listener to envision a better future for themselves. The principles of persuasive language. The language you use can dramatically affect how your message is received. Persuasive language involves more than choosing the right words. It's about structuring your sentences to build momentum and evoke emotions. Use powerful verbs and vivid adjectives to create a rich, sensory experience. Employ rhetorical devices such as repetition, analogies, and threes, a pattern of 3 to create a memorable rhythm. Moreover, your language should be inclusive, using we instead of I or you to create a sense of shared experience and mutual goals. This inclusivity reinforces the feeling that you are on their side, working together towards a common objective. Creating calls to action that resonate. Every persuasive message should end with a strong call to action, CTA. This is your moment to transform interest into action. Your CTA should be clear, compelling, and provide a sense of urgency. However, it should also reinforce the emotional connection you've built. It's not just about telling people what to do next, it's about making them feel empowered to do it. For example, rather than simply asking for a commitment at the end of a sales pitch, you could say, "Join us in revolutionizing the way you work and start seeing results as early as next week. Let's take this step forward together." This approach not only reaffirms the benefits but also emphasizes the partnership, making the decision to act feel like a collaborative and empowering step forward. Utilizing feedback for refinement. Finally, the art of crafting messages is a continual process of adaptation and improvement. Solicit feedback from your audience whenever possible. What resonated? What didn't? Use this feedback to refine your approach, language, and techniques. Over time, you will develop a keener sense of what works, allowing you to craft messages that not only reach but also touch the heart and move the mind. Chapter 3. The Power of Active Listening. In the realm of persuasion, active listening emerges as a profound skill that transforms ordinary interactions into opportunities for genuine connection and influence. As we explore the art of listening, consider this not just a technique, but as an essential component in your strategy to deeply understand and effectively respond to those around you. Active listening, the gateway to influence. Imagine entering a conversation where, instead of planning your next response, you focus entirely on understanding the speaker's perspective. Active listening involves more than hearing words. It's about perceiving the emotions and intentions behind them. It's the difference between a superficial exchange and a meaningful dialogue that can lead to change. When you listen actively, you signal to the speaker that their thoughts and feelings are valid and important. This validation builds trust and opens doors to deeper levels of disclosure, which is crucial for effective persuasion. To practice active listening, focus completely. Give the speaker your undivided attention. Put aside distracting thoughts and focus on their words, tone, and body language. Reflect and clarify. Echo what the speaker has said in your own words. Ask clarifying questions to deepen your understanding and to show that you are engaged. Empathize. Try to feel what the speaker is feeling. This empathy can transform your responses from purely transactional to deeply relational, establishing a connection that extends beyond the conversation. Responding with insight and empathy. Your response in a conversation can either deepen the connection or create distance. When you respond with insight, based on a genuine understanding gained through active listening, you demonstrate that you value the speaker's input and respect their perspective. This can be particularly powerful in negotiations or discussions where emotions might run high. By keeping your responses positive and supportive, keep your feedback constructive and uplifting. Even when you disagree, frame your response in a way that respects the other person's viewpoint and keeps the dialogue open. Specific and relevant. Tie your responses to the points the speaker has made. This shows that you are not only listening but also processing and valuing the conversation. The role of questions in active listening. Questions are powerful tools in active listening. They can guide the conversation and probe deeper into the speaker's thoughts and feelings. Use open-ended questions to encourage a fuller, more open response. For example, instead of asking, "Did you like the proposal?" ask, "What did you think about the proposal's approach to streamlining your workflow?" Questions should serve to deepen understanding, not to interrogate. They are an invitation to explore the speaker's thoughts more fully, providing insights that might not emerge through simple observation or passive listening. Listening beyond words. Much of communication is nonverbal. As you engage in active listening, pay close attention to what is not said. Body language, tone of voice, facial expressions, and pauses can all convey more than words can express. These signals can offer insights into the speaker's true feelings and attitudes, which can be crucial for tailoring your persuasive techniques effectively. For instance, if someone's words say they're agreeable, but their body language shows discomfort, this discrepancy might indicate unresolved concerns. Addressing these can open up new avenues for agreement and consensus. Active listening in different contexts. Active listening adapts to various environments, from personal relationships to professional settings. In each context, it enhances your ability to understand and influence effectively. In professional negotiations, it can reveal underlying needs that, when addressed, might seal a deal. In personal relationships, it fosters closeness and trust, paving the way for more open and honest communication. Practicing active listening daily. Incorporate active listening into your daily interactions. Practice with friends, family, and colleagues. The more you practice, the more natural it will become. Reflect on each interaction. What went well, what could be improved, and how different approaches might have altered the outcome. This reflective practice will sharpen your skills and make you a more effective communicator and persuader. Chapter 4. Mastering the Art of Negotiation. Negotiation is not just a skill for boardrooms and business deals. It's a vital part of everyday interactions. Whether you're discussing a project at work, planning a family event, or resolving a conflict with a friend, the principles of effective negotiation can help you navigate these situations with grace and efficiency. Understanding the heart of negotiation. Negotiation is fundamentally about finding a solution that all parties can accept. It's about understanding and aligning different interests, not just pushing your own agenda. Think of it as a bridge-building activity where each brick represents a shared understanding or a compromise that moves everyone closer to a mutually satisfying outcome. To excel in negotiation, start by stepping into the shoes of the other party. What do they need? What do they fear? What do they hope to gain? When you begin to see the situation from their perspective, you're better equipped to present solutions that are appealing and reasonable from their point of view as well. Building rapport. Before diving into negotiations, invest time in building rapport. This doesn't mean small talk alone. It means establishing a genuine connection that can make the negotiation smoother and more productive. Show that you value the relationship regardless of the outcome of the negotiation. This might involve expressing appreciation for the other party's time and consideration, acknowledging their needs, and demonstrating flexibility in your approach. Strategic empathy. Empathy in negotiation is strategic. It involves more than understanding and mirroring feelings. It's about using your understanding to guide the negotiation process. When you recognize the emotions at play, you can tailor your arguments to better fit the emotional and rational needs of the other party. For example, if you sense frustration, acknowledging it can diffuse tension and open up a more constructive dialogue. The power of questions. Questions are a negotiator's tool that can unearth valuable information, clarify points, and lead the discussion in a constructive direction. Instead of asserting your points up front, ask questions that lead the other person to consider alternatives. For instance, instead of saying, "This is the best way to proceed," you might ask, "How do you feel this approach will impact your team?" This not only gives you insight into their thinking, but also gently steers the conversation towards collaborative problem-solving. Negotiating with clarity and precision. Be clear about what you want to achieve and stay focused on your goals. However, be prepared to listen and adjust your expectations based on the feedback and signals you receive. Clarity involves not only knowing your objectives but also being clear in your communication. Avoid ambiguity as it can lead to misunderstandings and undermine your negotiation efforts. Dealing with difficult negotiations. Not all negotiations are straightforward. You'll sometimes encounter resistance, high emotions, or complex issues that seem insurmountable. In these cases, maintaining a calm and centered demeanor becomes crucial. Keep the conversation focused on interests rather than positions. Instead of arguing over what each party wants, explore why they want it. This opens up avenues for alternative solutions that may satisfy the underlying interests of both sides. Using silence as a strategy. Silence is a powerful tool in negotiation. It gives the other party space to think and speak, and it can also prompt them to reveal more than they intended or agree to a compromise. When you ask a question, pause and allow them the time to fully respond. You might be surprised at what people will share when you give them just a bit more time to gather their thoughts. Creating win-win outcomes. The most successful negotiations are those where all parties feel they've won. Strive to find solutions that benefit everyone involved. This might mean thinking creatively about how to expand the pie rather than just dividing it. For instance, if resources are limited, consider other values or benefits you can bring to the table that may not be strictly monetary but are valuable to the other party. Practicing negotiation regularly. Like any skill, negotiation improves with practice. Seek out opportunities to negotiate in low-stakes environments to build your confidence and skill set. Reflect on each experience, noting what worked, what didn't, and how you could improve in the future. Chapter 5. Turning resistance into agreement. Resistance is not your enemy. It's an opportunity. Every no you hear isn't a dead end. It's a door waiting to be opened the right way. The problem is, most people see resistance as rejection. They get defensive, frustrated, or worse, they give up. But those who truly understand persuasion know that resistance is often just uncertainty in disguise. People don't say no because they want to shut you down. They say no because they have unanswered questions, unaddressed fears, or unmet needs. Your job isn't to bulldoze their objections. It's to dismantle them with precision, empathy, and strategy. Understanding the root of resistance. People resist for 3 core reasons. Fear of loss. They're afraid of losing money, time, security, credibility, or comfort. Change is scary, and most people default to protecting what they already have. Uncertainty. They don't have enough information to feel confident in making a decision. When people are uncertain, they retreat to what's familiar. Mismatched values. They don't see how your offer aligns with their priorities or beliefs. If something feels out of sync with their identity or values, they'll instinctively resist. The mistake most people make is trying to push harder against resistance instead of understanding it. Instead of trying to convince someone, you need to become a problem solver. Every objection is a problem that needs a solution, and if you provide the right one, resistance will fade. Acknowledging and validating concerns. One of the biggest mistakes you can make when faced with resistance is trying to steamroll over it. If someone says, "I'm not sure this will work for me," and your response is to aggressively defend your idea, you've already lost. Instead, acknowledge their concern. Show them you understand. When you validate someone's feelings, they let their guard down. "I totally get why you feel that way. That's a legitimate concern. That makes complete sense. I've had the same thought before. I hear you. And I respect that." When people feel heard, they stop fighting. Their brain no longer perceives you as an adversary, but as someone who's on their side. And when you're on their side, they become open to seeing things differently. Ask, don't assume. Too often, people try to handle objections without actually knowing what's behind them. Instead of assuming you know what's stopping someone, ask, "What specifically are you concerned about? Can you tell me more about what's making you hesitant? What would need to happen for you to feel confident in moving forward?" When you ask the right questions, you shift the focus from a defensive no to an open conversation. You also gather valuable information that allows you to address the real issue rather than guessing. Reframing the objection. Every objection is an opportunity to change the way someone sees a situation. The way you frame your response determines whether they continue resisting or start considering. Instead of battling objections head-on, flip them in a way that makes agreement feel natural. "This is too expensive. I completely understand that you have a budget to consider. But let me ask you, if this investment saved you twice as much in the long run, would it still feel too expensive?" "I need to think about it." "I totally respect that. But let's get specific. What's the one thing you need more clarity on to feel comfortable making a decision?" "I don't think this is the right time." Timing is always important. But in your experience, has waiting ever made something easier, or do great opportunities usually require action before they're perfect? By shifting the way people see their own objections, you help them move past their initial resistance. The goal isn't to argue, it's to guide their thinking in a way that naturally leads them to reconsider. Leveraging social proof to overcome doubt. People trust what others have already trusted. When faced with resistance, use stories, testimonials, and examples to show that others have faced the same doubt but ultimately made the right choice. "I worked with someone who felt exactly the way you do. They were hesitant at first, but once they took the leap, they told me it was the best decision they ever made." Let me share what another client experienced. At first, they had the same concern, but when they gave it a chance, they saw results beyond their expectations. I hear this a lot, and what's interesting is that most people who initially felt this way end up saying, "I wish I had done this sooner." The moment someone realizes they're not alone in their doubts, and that others have successfully moved past them, their resistance begins to crumble. Handling emotionally charged resistance. Not all resistance is logical. Sometimes, people resist because they're emotionally triggered. Maybe they had a bad past experience. Maybe they feel threatened. Maybe they're just having a bad day. When emotions are high, logic alone won't cut it. You have to de-escalate before you persuade. Stay calm. Never mirror their frustration. Stay grounded, composed, and confident. Lower the tension. Use a softer, more understanding tone. Let them know you're not here to fight, but to help. Shift the focus. Redirect their energy by asking a question that moves the conversation away from the emotion and toward problem-solving. If someone is angry about a past failure, don't argue. Acknowledge their frustration. "I hear you. That must have been incredibly frustrating. But let's talk about how this time can be different." When you meet emotion with empathy, resistance starts to ease. The art of the pause. Most people fear silence in a conversation. They rush to fill it, often over-explaining, defending, or trying to push too hard. But silence is your secret weapon. When someone raises an objection, sometimes the best response is nothing. Let the moment sit. Let them think. Let them be the ones to break the silence. More often than not, they'll start talking themselves into a solution. The pause creates space for them to process, reflect, and reconsider without feeling pressured. Giving people the freedom to choose. Nobody likes feeling forced into a decision. The moment someone feels pressured, their natural reaction is to resist. That's why the best persuaders don't make people feel like they have to say yes. Instead, they make them want to say yes. You're absolutely free to decide what's best for you. I just want to make sure you have all the information you need to make the best choice. You don't have to do anything today. But if this is something that could benefit you, I'd hate for you to miss the opportunity. At the end of the day, the decision is yours. I'm just here to help you see the possibilities. When you give people the space to decide on their own, their resistance weakens. The less you push, the more they pull themselves toward agreement. Practicing resistance mastery. Resistance is everywhere. Every time you ask for something, present an idea, or try to move someone in a new direction, you'll face objections. The difference between those who get shut down and those who succeed is in how they respond. Practice reframing objections. Pay attention to emotional cues. Listen deeply before you speak. Use social proof, empathy, and silence strategically. The more skilled you become at handling resistance, the more effortlessly you'll turn no into yes. Master this, and you'll hold the key to influence, leadership, and success in every area of your life. Chapter 6. Advanced Persuasion Techniques. You don't just want to persuade, you want to own every conversation. You want to walk into a room and have people hang on your words, feel inspired by your presence, and agree with you without even realizing they've been guided toward that conclusion. This isn't about trickery. This isn't manipulation. This is about mastering human psychology at such a deep level that influence becomes second nature to you. Great persuaders don't force, they lead. They don't argue, they guide. They don't just talk, they ignite something inside people. If you want to become the kind of person who commands attention, wins people over effortlessly, and walks away from every conversation knowing you made an impact, you need to master the techniques that the world's best influencers use every day. Scarcity. Creating urgency without pressure. People don't value what's always available. If something is rare, exclusive, or limited, we suddenly crave it more. This is human nature. Our brains are wired to see scarce things as more desirable. Think about luxury brands. Why do people line up overnight for a new sneaker release? Why do people pay a premium for first-class seats on a plane? It's not just about quality, it's about exclusivity. Now, how do you apply this to persuasion? You make people feel like they might miss out if they don't act. There are only a few spots left in this program, and once they're gone, they're gone. I don't usually offer this kind of deal, but because I see potential in you, I'm willing to make an exception. This opportunity won't be here forever. People who take action now will be the ones who get ahead. Scarcity works because it shifts the mindset from "do I want this?" to "can I afford to miss out on this?" But here's the secret. Scarcity must feel real. If people sense fake urgency, you lose credibility. Make your offer truly limited, make the opportunity feel exclusive, and make your audience feel like they're getting access to something special. The illusion of choice. Let them pick the yes. One of the easiest ways to get people to agree with you is to remove no from their list of options. You don't give them a yes or no question. You give them a yes or yes question. Instead of asking, "Do you want to sign up?" ask, "Would you like to start today or next week?" Instead of saying, "Are you interested?" ask, "Would you prefer the standard package or the premium one?" Instead of saying, "Do you want to work with me?" ask, "Would you rather do a short-term plan or a long-term strategy?" See the difference? By presenting choices instead of a yes or no question, you shift the conversation from if they'll agree to how they'll agree. This technique is powerful because people like to feel in control. By giving them options, they feel like they're making their own decision, when in reality, you've already guided them toward agreement. Social proof. Show, don't tell. People don't like to go first. If they see others already making a decision, they feel safer following along. This is why testimonials, case studies, and real-life examples are critical. I had a client just like you who was hesitant at first, but once they took the leap, they saw massive results. Most people in your position choose this option because it gets the best results. 95% of my clients go with this strategy because it delivers success the fastest. By showing that others have already taken the step you're asking them to take, you remove doubt and hesitation. They think, if others are doing it, it must be the right move. Mirroring. The subtle art of instant connection. People like people who are like them. That's why we trust those who speak our language, share our values, and move in a way that feels familiar to us. Mirroring is one of the most powerful and subtle persuasion techniques. When you mirror someone's body language, tone, or energy, they subconsciously feel more comfortable around you. If they speak slowly, slow down your pace. If they're energetic, match their enthusiasm. If they lean in slightly too. This creates an unspoken sense of familiarity. And familiarity leads to trust. And trust leads to persuasion. This doesn't mean copying them in an obvious or robotic way. It means subtly adjusting your energy to match theirs so they feel an instant connection with you. Framing. Change the perspective, change the decision. The way you frame a message can completely change how it's received. Instead of saying, "This will cost you $1,000, say, "This is a $1,000 investment that will pay for itself tenfold." Instead of saying, "This is hard work," say, "This is a challenge that will elevate you to the next level." Instead of saying, "You're paying for a program," say, "You're gaining exclusive access to elite-level strategies." Words create emotions. Emotions drive decisions. By changing how you present something, you change how people feel about it. The commitment principle. Start small, win big. Once someone commits to something small, they're more likely to commit to something bigger. This is known as the foot-in-the-door technique. Get them to agree to a tiny step. Would you be open to a quick 5-minute call? Once they're engaged, escalate to something bigger. Since you're already interested, why don't we dive deeper into a strategy session? Small commitments make people feel invested. Once they've said yes to something minor, saying yes to the next step feels natural. Use this technique in every area of persuasion. Instead of asking for the big yes immediately, start with a small, easy agreement that warms them up. Anchoring. Set the reference point. The first number, idea, or concept introduced in a conversation anchors how people perceive everything that follows. If you're selling a service, don't start with your lowest offer. Start with your premium offer so everything else feels like a bargain. Our top-tier coaching package is $5,000. But if you want something more flexible, we have an option at $2,500. Most people go for the $10,000 full-service plan, but we also have a $7,000 option that gives great results. By setting a high anchor, every other option feels more reasonable. People compare new information to what they just heard. Give them a strong reference point, and their perception shifts in your favor. The power of expectation. Assume the yes. One of the easiest ways to get people to agree with you is to act like they already have. Instead of asking, "Do you want to move forward?" say, "What's the best day for us to get started?" Instead of asking, "Are you interested?" say, "Let's get the paperwork started so we can begin immediately." Confidence creates certainty, and certainty leads to agreement. When you assume the yes, people follow your lead because you make it feel like the natural outcome. Master these, own the room. These are not tricks. These are the principles of true influence. When you master these techniques, you'll see how easy it is to guide people toward decisions, build powerful connections, and create outcomes that benefit everyone involved. Great persuaders don't push, they pull. They don't argue, they align. And when they speak, people don't just listen, they act. Chapter 7. Tailoring your approach to different personalities. You can't persuade everyone the same way. Some people need hard facts, others need emotion. Some people want fast decisions, others need time to process. If you keep using the same approach with everyone, you're losing influence. The best persuaders don't just speak, they adapt. Think of persuasion like unlocking a door. If you keep using the wrong key, you'll never get in. But if you know exactly what kind of lock you're dealing with, you can turn the key smoothly and walk right in. It all starts with recognizing who you're dealing with. The 4 personality types you need to master. Most people fall into one of 4 categories. Each has different fears, motivators, and decision-making styles. If you know how to identify them, you'll know how to influence them. 1. The analytical thinker, logic-driven. This is the person who wants data, research, and logical reasoning. They don't care about how passionate you are. They care about numbers, case studies, and proven methods. They hate vague claims. They need to analyze before they act. How to persuade them. Be prepared with facts and figures. Show them the step-by-step process. Give them time to think. Don't pressure them. Use comparisons and proven examples. Say things like, "Let me show you the data behind this." How you lose them. You rely too much on emotions. You pressure them to decide quickly. You skip details and expect them to take your word for it. If you're trying to close a deal with an analytical thinker, don't say, "Trust me, this will be amazing." Say, "This strategy has increased revenue by 23% for companies in your industry. Here's the report that breaks it down." That's how you get them to say yes. 2. The driver, results-driven. This person is decisive, confident, and focused on winning. They don't want long explanations, they want solutions. They hate wasting time. They value speed, efficiency, and results. If they see you as weak, unsure, or too slow, they'll ignore you. How to persuade them. Get to the point fast. Show them how your idea will give them an advantage. Speak with confidence and certainty. Make it about winning and success. Say things like, "This will put you ahead of your competitors." How you lose them. You ramble and waste time. You seem unsure or hesitant. You don't show how your idea benefits them directly. If you're pitching to a driver, don't say, "I think this might work for you." Say, "This will make you the leader in your market." If you act now, you'll dominate before your competition catches up. They don't want maybe, they want certainty. 3. The amiable, relationship-driven. This person values trust, relationships, and emotional connection. They don't make decisions based on data alone. They need to feel safe, comfortable, and reassured before they commit. If they don't trust you, they won't move forward. How to persuade them. Build rapport before making your ask. Show empathy and listen carefully. Give examples of how others have benefited. Reassure them that this is a safe choice. Say things like, "I know this decision is important, and I want to make sure it's the right fit for you." How you lose them. You come off as too aggressive. You don't take time to connect personally. You make them feel pressured. If you're trying to influence an amiable person, don't say, "Sign up today or you'll miss out." Say, "I want you to feel good about this, so let's go through all the details together to make sure it's the perfect fit for you." They need emotional security before they say yes. 4. The expressive, big-picture thinker. This is the visionary, the big dreamer. the person who gets excited about ideas and possibilities. They don't want too many details. They want inspiration. They want to feel like they're part of something great. How to persuade them. Paint a vivid picture of the future. Focus on emotions, excitement, and creativity. Make your message inspiring and energetic. Use storytelling and big ideas. Say things like, imagine where you'll be 6 months from now when this has transformed your business. How you lose them. You overwhelm them with details. You sound boring or uninspiring. You focus only on logic instead of vision. If you're trying to sell to an expressive thinker, don't say, here's a detailed breakdown of the specs. Say, this is going to change the way you operate. It's the missing piece that will bring your vision to life. They want excitement, not spreadsheets. How to identify who you're talking to. People reveal their personality type within minutes of speaking. Pay attention to their energy, their words, and their body language. Do they ask for data and specifics? Analytical thinker. Do they focus on winning and getting results? Driver. Do they talk about relationships and trust? Amiable. Do they get excited about big ideas? Expressive. Once you identify their type, you adjust your strategy. Speak their language. Deliver your message in a way that they want to hear it. That's how you win them over. The power of adaptive communication. Most people communicate in the way they prefer, not in the way the other person needs. This is why so many fail to persuade. An analytical person frustrates an expressive one by being too detailed. A driver annoys an amiable person by being too pushy. An expressive person overwhelms an analytical one with too many vague ideas. You have to adjust. When you communicate in their style, they feel comfortable and receptive. They trust you. They understand you. And most importantly, they say yes. The persuasion power move. Blending personality styles. The real masters of persuasion don't just identify personalities, they blend styles together. Speak with confidence like a driver. Show empathy like an amiable person. Use logic like an analytical thinker. Bring excitement like an expressive person. When you combine all these elements, you become unstoppable. You'll be able to influence anyone, anywhere, because you'll know exactly how to speak to their mind and their heart. Most people struggle to persuade because they only know one way to communicate. They use the same script, the same tone, the same approach, no matter who they're talking to. That's like trying to unlock every door with the same key. It doesn't work. But when you learn to adapt, you don't just persuade, you connect. You don't just convince, you inspire. And when you inspire, people want to follow you. Master this, and you'll walk into any room knowing you can influence anyone, anywhere, anytime. That's the real power of persuasion. Chapter 8. Emotional Intelligence, the Secret to Deep Influence. If you don't understand emotions, you'll never master persuasion. You can have the best arguments, the most compelling data, and the most logical points, but if you fail to connect on an emotional level, you'll be ignored. Emotions drive decisions. People might justify choices with logic, but the real decisions? They happen in the gut, in the heart, in that split-second feeling of this is right or this is wrong. Most people try to persuade with words alone. They think if they just say the right thing, they'll get the outcome they want. But influence isn't just about words, it's about feelings. If someone doesn't feel good about what you're saying, they won't move forward, no matter how logical it is. Master emotional intelligence, and you won't just persuade, you'll become unforgettable. Mastering self-awareness. The first person you need to persuade is yourself. If you don't understand your own emotions, your fears, your triggers, your weaknesses, how can you expect to navigate someone else's? If you don't control your emotions, they will control you. Self-awareness means knowing when your emotions are helping you and when they're hurting you. It means recognizing when you're about to react instead of respond. It means knowing your strengths and your blind spots. Are you speaking from confidence or from insecurity? Are you guiding the conversation or reacting emotionally? Are you controlling the energy or letting it control you? Self-awareness is power. When you walk into a room, you need to know exactly what emotions you're carrying, because whatever you bring, others will feel. If you bring doubt, they'll feel it. If you bring nervousness, they'll sense it. But if you bring certainty, people will lean in. Controlling your emotions under pressure. Persuasion is emotional. It's messy. It's unpredictable. Someone will challenge you. Someone will dismiss you. Someone will say, "I don't think this will work," right to your face. If you don't know how to regulate your emotions in that moment, you will lose. Imagine negotiating a deal, and suddenly the other person gets aggressive. They push back. They tell you your idea isn't good enough. What do? Do you snap back? Do you get defensive? Do you shrink? Or do you breathe, pause, and control the moment? Emotional regulation means not letting other people pull you into their storm. It means keeping your center when the conversation gets heated. It means knowing that the first emotional reaction is rarely the best one. When someone attacks you, pause. Let them speak. When tension rises, slow down. Take control of the pace. When you feel defensive, ask a question instead of making a statement. People expect arguments. They expect pushback. When you stay calm, you disarm them. And when you disarm them, you take the power. Empathy, the persuasion superpower. Most people listen to respond. The best persuaders listen to understand. When someone feels heard, they trust you. And when they trust you, they open up. That's where real persuasion happens. Not in pushing your point, but in understanding why they might resist it. Empathy isn't weakness. It's not about agreeing with someone. It's about stepping into their world, seeing things from their point of view, and then using that understanding to guide them toward a better decision. If they say, "I don't think this is for me," don't fight them. Say, "I understand. Tell me more. What's making you hesitant?" If they say, "I had a bad experience with this before," don't dismiss them. Say, "That makes sense. What happened?" If they say, "I just don't feel comfortable with this," don't ignore their feelings. Say, "I get it. What would make you feel more confident?" When people feel that you genuinely get them, they stop resisting. They stop seeing you as an opponent and start seeing you as an ally. And when that shift happens, they follow you. Reading people like an open book. People tell you exactly how to persuade them. Not with words, but with their energy, their tone, their micro-expressions. If you're paying attention, you can see when someone is interested, when they're skeptical, when they're ready to say yes but just need a little push. Watch for the signs. If they lean in, they're engaged. If their eyes brighten, something resonated, double down on it. If they cross their arms or lean back, they're putting up a wall. Address their concerns before moving forward. If they nod frequently, they're already agreeing with you. Most people only listen to what's being said. The best persuaders listen to what's not being said. When someone's words don't match their body language, trust their body language. If they say, "I'm not sure," but they're nodding slightly, they want you to convince them. If they say, "I need time to think," but they're hesitating, push a little, they're closer than they realize. If they say, "I don't think this will work," but they're leaning in, they're curious. Give them the reassurance they need. The energy you bring is the energy they mirror. If you come in nervous, they'll feel nervous. If you come in uncertain, they'll question you. If you come in powerful, they'll trust you. Energy is contagious. If you want someone to feel excited about your idea, you have to feel excited about it first. If you want someone to feel confident in their decision, you have to radiate confidence first. Great persuaders don't just deliver words, they transfer emotions. If you want them to feel inspired, speak with passion. If you want them to feel urgency, speak with controlled intensity. If you want them to feel calm, slow down your voice and body language. Most people only think about what they say. The best persuaders think about how they make people feel. Handling rejection without losing power. Rejection is part of persuasion. If you fear rejection, you will never be truly persuasive. The key is not to avoid rejection, but to handle it so well that you keep the door open for a future yes. If someone says no, don't take it personally. Stay cool, stay professional, and leave the conversation on a positive note. If someone pushes back, don't argue. Ask more questions. Show curiosity. Keep the dialogue open. If someone isn't ready today, don't disappear. Follow up later, remind them of the value, and stay on their radar. Rejection doesn't mean never. It usually means not yet. The best persuaders don't burn bridges. They stay in the game, they keep the relationship strong, and when the right moment comes, they get the yes. Chapter 9. The Power of Storytelling in Persuasion. Facts inform. Stories transform. If you want to persuade, you need more than logic. You need to touch the human soul. You need to make people feel something. The best persuaders in the world, leaders, visionaries, entrepreneurs, negotiators, don't just communicate information. They tell stories that shape perspectives, move emotions, and drive action. You've felt this before. Think back to a time when a speech, a book, or even a personal conversation shifted something inside you. It wasn't just because of the facts being presented, it was because you connected with the story, the emotion, the struggle, the victory. People don't remember data. They remember moments. They remember the way something made them feel. And when you use storytelling in persuasion, you stop being just another person trying to make a point. You become unforgettable. Why storytelling works on the brain. Science backs this up. When someone hears raw data, the logical part of their brain activates. But when they hear a story, multiple areas of the brain light up. Language processing, sensory experiences, and emotional centers. Their mind creates a simulation as if they're experiencing the story themselves. This is why a great story isn't just heard, it's felt. When you master storytelling, you bypass resistance. You bypass skepticism. Instead of arguing, you immerse someone in an experience. Instead of pushing them, you pull them into a world where they reach your conclusion on their own. Great persuaders don't force people to believe. They create a story so compelling that belief becomes inevitable. The core elements of a persuasive story. A story that persuades has structure. It isn't just random words thrown together. It follows a rhythm that makes people engage emotionally and mentally. Every powerful persuasive story has these elements. 1. The hook, grabbing attention instantly. You have seconds to capture attention before people tune out. Start your story with something that makes them lean in. A bold statement, the single biggest mistake I ever made cost me $50,000 in one day. A thought-provoking question, what if everything you believed about success was wrong? A shocking fact, 90% of businesses fail because they ignore this one fundamental rule. The hook isn't just about grabbing attention, it's about creating curiosity. Make them need to hear the rest. 2. The struggle, creating emotional engagement. People don't connect with perfection. They connect with struggle. They relate to obstacles, doubts, fears. If you skip straight to the victory, you miss the part of the story that makes it real. This is where you show the challenge, the mistake, the pain. I spent years feeling stuck, watching others succeed while I struggled just to keep up. I walked into that meeting full of confidence, until I realized I was completely unprepared. I tried everything. Nothing worked. I was ready to give up. This part of the story builds tension. It makes the listener feel something. And when people feel, they stay engaged. 3. The turning point, the moment of realization. This is where the shift happens. The breakthrough. The moment when things changed. Then, I discovered something that flipped my entire perspective. I realized I had been doing it all wrong. That's when I decided to try something different. The turning point is the moment of possibility. It signals to the listener that transformation is possible, not just for you, but for them too. 4. The resolution, the victory that inspires action. This is where the lesson becomes clear. The change has happened. The struggle led to success. This is what people remember. From that moment forward, everything was different. Now, I have a system that ensures I never make that mistake again. And the best part? Anyone can do this, if they take the right steps. But a great story doesn't just end with victory, it ends with a call to action. It leaves the listener inspired to do something. What's the one thing you need to change right now? How will you make sure you never go through what I went through? If you're ready to take control of your future, start today. A great story doesn't just entertain, it moves people to act. How to make any story persuasive. Not every story is equally powerful. You need to craft it intentionally. Here's how to make sure your story doesn't just sound good, but actually persuades. 1. Make it personal. A story isn't persuasive unless it feels real. Even if you're talking about someone else, make it personal to the audience. Let them see themselves in the story. Instead of saying, "Some people struggle with fear," say, "Have you ever felt like fear was holding you back?" Instead of saying, "Businesses often make this mistake," say, "Let me tell you about a business owner just like you who made this mistake." When people see themselves in the story, they don't just listen, they feel invested. 2. Engage the senses. The more vivid your story, the more powerful it becomes. Make the listener see the scene. Feel the emotions. Hear the details. Instead of saying, "I was nervous," say, "My hands were sweating. My heart was pounding. I could hear the clock ticking as I tried to find the right words." Instead of saying, "I felt stuck," say, "Every day felt like walking through mud, moving but getting nowhere." The more sensory details you use, the more the listener's brain experiences the story with you. 3. Use emotional contrast. A great story takes people on a ride. There are highs and lows, struggles and victories. If everything is the same tone, it falls flat. Contrast creates impact. If you're telling a story of triumph, first make them feel the defeat. If you're showing success, first make them feel the struggle. I had no idea what I was doing. Every strategy failed. And then I found the answer. I was completely broke. But that's exactly what forced me to learn the secret to financial success. The greater the contrast, the greater the emotional impact. 4. Make the listener the hero. People don't just want to hear a great story. They want to believe they can have the same transformation. Your story should lead them to a conclusion. This could be me. What I learned, you can apply today. I made the mistakes so you don't have to. If I can do this, so can you. A persuasive story isn't just about you, it's about them. Show them what's possible, and they'll take action. How to use stories everywhere. You can integrate storytelling into everything. Sales pitches instead of listing features. Tell a story about how your product changed someone's life. Negotiations instead of arguing. Tell a story about someone who faced the same hesitation and why they moved forward. Marketing instead of generic messaging. Share real experiences that connect emotionally with your audience. Leadership instead of just giving instructions. Tell stories that inspire action and build loyalty. When you master storytelling, you no longer convince, you inspire. You no longer argue, you connect. You no longer push, you pull people in. Facts inform. Stories transform. If you want to persuade on the deepest level, tell a story that makes people feel something they can't ignore. Chapter 10. Becoming a master of persuasion in every area of life. Persuasion isn't a trick. It's not a gimmick. It's a way of life. It's how you get what you want, how you influence others, how you build relationships, and how you turn opportunities into reality. You already use persuasion every day. Whether you're negotiating a raise, convincing a friend to try something new, inspiring a team, or even getting out of a traffic ticket, it's all persuasion. The question isn't whether or not you're persuasive. The question is, are you as persuasive as you could be? If you aren't getting the results you want, it's because you're missing something. And the person who can fix that? You. Master persuasion, and you take control of every conversation, every deal, and every interaction in your life. Becoming someone people trust instantly. People don't listen to those they don't trust. They don't follow those they don't respect. You can have the best arguments, the smartest points, the perfect logic, but if people don't trust you, they won't listen. Trust isn't given. It's earned. If you want people to believe in you, start by being the kind of person worth believing in. Keep your word. Do what you say you'll do. Speak with honesty, even when it's uncomfortable. People can sense authenticity. They can smell fakeness a mile away. If you try to manipulate or deceive, you might get short-term wins, but you'll lose the war. Trust is built in 3 ways. Be consistent. Say what you mean. Do what you say. If your actions don't match your words, your persuasion power disappears. Be honest. If you don't believe in what you're saying, don't say it. People can feel it when you're not genuine. Be present. Give people your full attention. When you make someone feel like they're the most important person in the room, they will listen to you. When trust is high, persuasion is easy. When trust is low, persuasion is impossible. Commanding attention without begging for it. Most people talk, but nobody listens. Why? Because they don't command attention, they demand it. And that never works. Look at the most influential people in the world. They don't shout to be heard. They don't force their way into conversations. They own the room with presence alone. How? They pause before speaking. Silence creates anticipation. When you rush, you sound nervous. When you pause, you sound powerful. They lower their voice instead of raising it. Loud voices try to dominate. Controlled voices draw people in. They speak with certainty. No hesitation. No filler words. Just clarity. People follow confidence, not doubt. The moment you start speaking, you either pull people in or push them away. Make your words count. Make your presence felt. Controlling the frame. Whoever owns the frame owns the conversation. A conversation isn't just about what's being said. It's about who controls the context. This is called framing, and it's one of the most powerful persuasion skills in existence. Imagine you walk into a meeting. You're about to pitch an idea. If the room believes you need something from them, they have the power. But if the frame is set that they need what you have, the power shifts to you. Whoever sets the frame first controls how everything is perceived. If you're negotiating a deal, frame it as you deciding whether they qualify, not them deciding if they want you. If someone challenges you, don't play defense. Reframe the situation and put them on defense. If someone doubts you, don't argue. Shift the focus to something undeniable that proves your value. Frames dictate power. Master framing, and you control the outcome before the conversation even begins. Handling resistance like a pro. Objections are not the end of persuasion. They're the beginning of persuasion. Most people crumble when they hear objections. They get defensive. They argue. They push harder. And that's why they fail. When someone resists, it's not because they're rejecting you, it's because they need something more. What do they need? Clarity. Confidence. A reason to believe. Instead of fighting resistance, do this. Acknowledge it. I hear you. That's a valid concern. Question it. What's the biggest thing making you hesitate? Reframe it. What if I showed you how this solves that exact problem? When you fight resistance, people push back harder. When you embrace it and redirect it, they relax. They open up. And when people are open, persuasion flows effortlessly, turning every interaction into an opportunity. The world belongs to those who see opportunity where others see nothing. Every conversation is a chance to build a connection. Every meeting is a chance to persuade. Every moment of doubt is a chance to lead. Most people walk through life blind to the influence they could have. They miss chances to persuade because they're too focused on their own wants. They talk at people instead of with them. They fail to see the opportunity right in front of them. When you shift your mindset, when you start seeing every interaction as a moment of persuasion, you become dangerous. You walk into every situation knowing you can guide, shape, and direct what happens next. That casual conversation? It's a chance to plant a seed that leads to something bigger. That skeptical client? It's an opportunity to earn trust by listening deeper than anyone else has. That difficult negotiation? It's a test of your ability to stay calm, reframe objections, and create a win-win outcome. Everything is persuasion. Every moment counts. The more you recognize it, the more powerful you become. Mastering the energy of influence. Persuasion isn't just words. It's energy. You've felt this before. You've met people who radiate power, certainty, and confidence, and you've met people who shrink the moment they speak. It's not just what they say. It's how they carry themselves. Your energy tells people whether or not to believe in you. If you doubt yourself, they will doubt you. If you hesitate, they will hesitate. If you bring weak energy, they will walk over you. But if you bring the right energy, people listen without questioning. People respect your words. People want to follow your lead. Your posture, your eye contact, your tone of voice, it all matters. Walk into every situation like you belong there. Speak like your words carry weight. Move with purpose. When you control your energy, you don't just persuade, you dominate. This is the moment everything changes. Most people will never master persuasion. They will struggle to get what they want. They will keep wondering why people don't listen to them, why their ideas don't get traction, why they keep losing opportunities. But that's not you. Not anymore. Now you know the truth. Persuasion is not about tricks. It's not about manipulation. It's about understanding human nature at its core. Master trust. Master confidence. Master storytelling. Master emotional intelligence. Master the frame. Master the energy you bring into every conversation. Do this, and there will be no limit to what you can achieve. You will walk into any room, any negotiation, any opportunity, knowing you have the power to influence, persuade, and win. Not someday. No. Chapter 11. The Science of Influence. Using human psychology to get what you want. Most people try to persuade by talking. They think if they just explain things well enough, they'll convince others to agree. But persuasion isn't just about words. It's about psychology. It's about how the human brain is wired to make decisions. You don't persuade by forcing people. You persuade by making them feel like it was their idea all along. You don't change minds with logic alone. You tap into the hidden forces that drive human behavior. If you understand the psychology of influence, you won't just get what you want, you'll become unstoppable. Scarcity. Make people feel like they might miss out. People don't just want things, they want things they think they can't have. Scarcity creates urgency. When something feels rare, it becomes more valuable. Why do people rush to buy limited-time offers? Why do we crave things that are exclusive? Because our brains are wired to fear missing out. Use this to your advantage. There are only a few spots left. I don't usually offer this, but I'm making an exception for you. This won't be available forever, so if you want in, now's the time. Scarcity forces people to act. It removes hesitation. If you give people unlimited time to decide, they won't decide at all. But when they feel the pressure of missing out, that's when they move. Scarcity must be real. If you fake it, people will see through you. But when you genuinely create limited opportunities, you make people value what you're offering even more. Reciprocity. Give before you ask. People don't like to feel indebted. If someone does something for you, you feel a subconscious urge to return the favor. That's why free samples work. That's why when someone buys you coffee, you feel obligated to buy them one next time. It's human nature. If you want someone to say yes, give them something first. It could be value, advice, a favor, an insight, anything that makes them feel like they owe you one. Give them an exclusive piece of knowledge before making your pitch. Offer them help without asking for anything in return. Show generosity, and they will feel compelled to reciprocate. The secret is to give without expectation. People can sense manipulation. But when your generosity is real, the returns will come naturally. Social proof. Show that others already believe. People follow the crowd. If others are doing it, we assume it must be the right thing to do. This is why reviews, testimonials, and success stories are powerful. When people see that others have already taken the leap, their resistance drops. Thousands of people have already joined. Don't get left behind. Here's what happened when my last client applied this strategy. Everyone who has used this method has seen massive results. Social proof removes doubt. It reassures people that they're making the right decision. If you don't have a big audience yet, use even a small group, early adopters, past clients, or even personal success stories. Show them that someone has already walked this path and won. Authority. Become the person they trust. We trust experts. If someone seems like they know what they're talking about, we listen. Authority isn't about actually being the best, it's about positioning yourself as the best. You don't need a PhD to be influential. You just need to show people that you know your stuff. Share knowledge others don't have. Speak with confidence and certainty. Use credentials, experience, or associations to establish credibility. If you act like an authority, people will treat you like one. The more certainty you bring, the more others will trust your influence. Framing. Control the way people see the conversation. The same offer can feel completely different depending on how you present it. The best persuaders don't just communicate, they frame the conversation in a way that makes agreement feel inevitable. Instead of saying, "This product costs $1,000, say, "This is a $1,000 investment that will bring you $10,000 in returns." Instead of saying, "You need this," say, "Successful people already use this. Do you want to join them?" Instead of saying, "Are you interested?" say, "Would you like to start today or next week?" Framing controls perception. The person who sets the frame first wins the conversation. Commitment and consistency. Make people say yes to something small first. Once people commit to something small, they're more likely to commit to something bigger. This is called the foot in the door technique. Ask for a tiny agreement first. Would you be open to a quick chat? Then, move to a bigger ask. Since we're already talking, let's dive deeper. Every small yes builds momentum. If you want people to take a big step, start with a tiny one. Emotional anchoring. Make people feel before they think. People don't make decisions logically. They make decisions emotionally and then justify them with logic. If you can attach strong emotions to your message, people will remember it. They will feel it. If you want them to act fast, create urgency. Imagine what happens if you wait. Nothing changes. If you want them to feel excited, paint a vision. Picture yourself 6 months from now, thriving because you made this decision today. If you want them to feel connected, share a relatable story. I was in your exact position once, and here's how I turned it around. Logic alone doesn't persuade. Emotion does. Tie your message to feeling, and people will move. Contrast. Make the right decision obvious. People make choices based on comparison, not absolute value. If you only give them one option, they hesitate. But if you create a comparison, the best choice stands out. Instead of offering one package, offer 3, one high-end, one mid-range, and one low-end. People will naturally pick the middle. Instead of saying, this costs $500, say, others charge $1,000 for the same service, but I'm offering it for $500. When you control the contrast, you control the decision. Urgency. Make action feel necessary. People procrastinate. Even if they want something, they delay. The best persuaders eliminate hesitation by creating urgency. If you don't act now, this deal will be gone. The longer you wait, the more opportunities you miss. I only work with a handful of clients, and spots are filling fast. Urgency isn't about forcing, it's about helping people move before they lose momentum. Make every interaction count. Persuasion isn't something you turn on and off. It's everywhere. Every conversation, every deal, every negotiation, it's all persuasion. The people who master this aren't just successful. They're leaders. They're the ones who shape the world. You now have the tools. You understand the psychology. The only question is, are you going to use them? Every opportunity is waiting. The only thing left to do is take it. Chapter 12. Owning your power, becoming an unstoppable force of influence. The world belongs to those who know how to influence it. The ones who don't sit back, waiting for things to happen. The ones who shape decisions, lead conversations, and make their vision a reality. This isn't just about persuasion. It's about power. The power to create opportunities instead of waiting for them. The power to make people say yes before they even realize they were thinking no. The power to turn resistance into agreement, doubt into confidence, and hesitation into action. Most people live their lives hoping for things to go their way. You will make things go your way. Because when you master persuasion, you stop hoping. You start owning. The 3 unbreakable laws of influence. If you want to walk into any situation and win, there are 3 things you must master. These are not tricks. These are laws. They are the difference between those who struggle to get what they want and those who make things happen effortlessly. 1. Certainty wins. Indecision loses. The person with the most certainty in a conversation always wins. Always. People don't follow the smartest person. They follow the most certain person. The one who speaks with conviction. The one who makes a decision and owns it. The one who acts like they already know the outcome. When you hesitate, people hesitate. When you sound unsure, people doubt you. When you act like a question mark, people treat you like one. But when you walk in with the energy of I know exactly what I'm doing, people listen. People agree. People follow. This isn't arrogance. This isn't faking confidence. This is absolute belief in what you're saying. Because if you don't believe it, why should they? When you are certain, others fall into alignment. When you are hesitant, they walk away. Own your words. Own your choices. Own your results. Because certainty doesn't just persuade, it dominates. 2. Control the frame, or be controlled. Every interaction is a battle for control. Not control in the aggressive sense, but control of the narrative. Whoever sets the frame first controls the direction of the conversation. If you walk in trying to convince someone, they hold the power. If you walk in assuming they need to convince you, you hold the power. If they frame your offer as too expensive, you reframe it as too valuable to ignore. If they frame the conversation as a choice between saying yes or saying no, you reframe it as a choice between starting today or starting next week. When you control the frame, you control perception. And perception determines decisions. Never let someone else dictate how the conversation goes. Never let them put you on the defensive. The best persuaders never argue, never beg, never push. They redirect. They reframe. They lead. 3. Energy transfers. You set the tone. Walk into a room, and your energy is contagious. It spreads before you even say a word. People don't just listen to what you say, they feel how you say it. If you're confident, they feel confidence. If you're nervous, they feel uncertainty. If you radiate authority, they respect you before you even speak. This is why presence matters. Body language matters. Eye contact matters. Tone of voice matters. If you act like you belong, people treat you like you do. If you carry yourself with authority, people respect you before you prove anything. If you speak like someone worth listening to, people stop and listen. Energy isn't just how you feel, it's how you make them feel. And the person who controls the energy in the room controls everything. The final shift, becoming the person everyone listens to. If you've been waiting for a sign to step up, to take control, to own your ability to persuade, this is it. You now have the blueprint, the psychology, the techniques, the mindset. You understand how people think, how they make decisions, how they respond to influence. But knowledge isn't power. Execution is power. You don't become persuasive by knowing these things. You become persuasive by using them. You don't get what you want by waiting. You get what you want by going after it. You don't influence people by playing small. You influence people by stepping up and owning every room you walk into. The world does not give power to those who ask nicely. It gives power to those who take it with certainty, control, and energy. Master this, and you will never again wonder why people don't listen to you. You will never again hesitate in front of an opportunity. You will never again feel powerless in a negotiation, a conversation, or a decision. Because now, now you own it.